Hello everybody, and welcome back to another video of mine. Now, as everybody else says, Sonic CD's bosses are bad, which that is not true. I think that Sonic CD's bosses are great, and in this video, I'm gonna explain why, and I'll be going in detail in every single boss. Okay, now that that's out of the way, let's begin. Okay, so when a player first enters Act 3 of Tree Palm Panic, I don't know what's the name, I don't remember, they're gonna be greeted by this boss. Now, as you see in this footage, this is every player's first playthrough. This is how it's expected. They don't know the cheese tactic that you get from behind and hit him. And as you can see, it's only 3 hits, and now on their second playthrough, the players saw last time that there was a gap between the launch place and Eggman, and they got from behind so they can cheap shot him and cheese the fight, which was intentional. And this tells us that the game designers now have more control over the bosses instead of being an 8-hit boss, which is pretty good, because then we'll have a lot of great boss fights in the next couple of zones. Okay, now let's talk about Collision Chaos Zone's Act 3 boss. Now, in Collision Chaos Zone Act 3, it's more of a pinball game than an actual platforming stage. Well, it's technically platforming and a pinball game. Now, what's so special about this boss? Well, people say that it sucks. Well, this is footage for people's first gameplay, the first time they've entered this boss. They're going to try to go through that tiny little hole in the air, and they're gonna try to get up to the boss and hit him and destroy it. Now let's skip a couple of seconds forward, and eventually you can see that the boss was defeated, and after 1 minute or 30 seconds. Okay, so now after a couple of playthroughs, the player has learned a grasp of the boss fight, and now it's actually pretty fun to the player, and this is one of the best parts of the entire game. Now, you'll see how fast the player completes it, and with practice is key to perfection. And you can see how fast he completed it, this time under 30 seconds, what last time was 1 minute and 30 seconds. And this is quite the improvement that they've made, which shows us on how well thought out these boss fights were. Okay, now for Tidal Tempest. Now, Tidal Tempest is a unique boss fight. It has one of the more unique ones. Now, this boss fight is basically a chase sequence at the first half, which is the first ever Sonic boss fight to have 2 phases. Yes, some people don't even notice it. I didn't even notice it till now while making this video. And after you defeat Eggman's chase sequence, when you chase Eggman down, you go to the underwater section, and then bubbles appear around Eggman, and he creates that as a shield. Now, before you think that this is good and fine, there are these laser balls that you have that Eggman shoots at you, and you can get hit by them. And actually, I've died once before, but I don't have it in this footage. And the more bubbles you deplete, the more easier it becomes to hit him. And as you can see, Sonic got hit and could have died, but good thing that Sonic is quite skilled at dodging, and he survived. And this is it. That's Title Tempest, the boss fight. And it's pretty simple, cut to the chase, and it's a cool boss fight in general. Quartz Quadrant. My favorite zone in the entire game. It's quite nostalgic to me because I originally played the demo for the Sega. I originally played the demo, not the full version. Okay, I'm getting off topic here. So, this boss fight is unique because you have to use Sonic Speed, or in other words, hold right, to destroy the boss itself. Yes, you use your speed to destroy the boss. Now, you can get this in the other Sonic games, don't ya? I have to make filler for this part because there's nothing else to say. Oh right, yeah, those spikes, you can die by them. You can very easily die by those spikes. Those spikes are very deadly. Oh yeah, Eggman's about to die, and Eggman's worried because if Sonic keeps going forward, Eggman's legs could get shredded and he could die and bleed out. I'm getting really off topic. I'm trying to make filler. Okay, that's a Quartz Quadrant. Quartz Quadrant. Wow, I had to repeat Quartz Quadrant 3 times in a row. Wow, Quartz Quadrant. Such a unique name. So much filler. Blah blah blah. Okay, so Wacky Workbench. Act 3 has the more unique before boss fight starts level design, because you go up and then down. And this boss fight, sorry, I don't have a script for this video. Now this boss fight's unique because you have to hit Eggman's ship, and Eggman doesn't know that his ship is indestructible, which is a pretty dumb thing he did. When I say indestructible, I mean Sonic cannot damage the ship. Eggman damages the ship itself because he's not thinking straight. Okay. And this last and final section, if you see the spike drops and people think that this is an obstacle, no, this is an indicator that Eggman's machine has been broken, and then that's the final level that you're gonna reach. Also, these little tiny platforms, these chunks, they're one of the few objects in classic Sonic games that have actual physics, actual weight, collision, and physics. So that's actually pretty cool too, and that's Wacky Workbench. There's nothing further to say, and yeah, and now let's go to the final zone. Ha! Did you really think I would forget Stardust Speedway? Well, yeah, I kinda did, but ignore that. Well, this is the big level, the one, the hyped one, the best boss fight in video game history, Metal Sonic vs. Sonic. Now, this is the best boss fight in the entire game because Sonic races Metal Sonic in a level that has level design. Shocking, isn't it? Well, yes, it is shocking. Yeah. So, in this boss fight, you have to use platforming and memorization to beat it. Like an example, here, if you're bad at video games, you will know that slope is coming and get hit by Metal Sonic and die by Eggman. What a rough moment. And after replaying the level itself a couple of times, or the boss fight, you and Metal Sonic are gonna be toe-to-toe. Now, actually, there is a Metal Sonic manipulation, and it's actually pretty simple. You want to be in front of Metal Sonic at all times, for he can use his dash ability against you. Because then you'll complete the boss fight faster if anyone wants to complete it faster than normal, and that's the only strat. And after beating Metal Sonic, you can finally rescue Amy, and she hugs you and parts, and etc. And yeah, that's it for Stardust Speedway. And now, let's actually get to the final zone of Sonic CD. This is it, the final act and zone of Sonic CD, the final boss fight. And the boss fight is awaiting you right now. Eggman's waiting for you, and he has a couple of tricks up his sleeve. But first, let's go over the level design. Now, this is the worst thing I've ever played in my life. Seriously, what is this garbage level? And also, for some reason, I just noticed this, but, you just do a little simple platform like this, for an example. I could have done that in my entire life. How I did not notice this? How? Okay. I've calmed down, and now let's go here. What? It's not a boss? Oh, it's the mini-boss. It's actually technically the second mini-boss. Well, it's more like the second mini-boss in the Sonic series, but it's more like an enemy placement. Now, these enemies, usually in Stardust Speedway, you avoid them with ease, because you don't want to deal with them. Now, here's a round how to defeat these enemies, and it's actually pretty simple. While they're shooting their lasers, you want to jump on them and attack them. Because if you don't, it doesn't count as you hit them. Okay, now the final boss fight. In this footage, I'm going to show you how this boss fight is played intentionally. Now, I don't know what the game designers did here, but for some reason, they didn't complete the boss fight. Really? Sega? Seriously? It takes back since Sonic 2? Like, rushing their games. They started rushing their games since Sonic 2. And now Sonic CD was affected too by this great final boss fight that could have been it? Yeah, that's the intentional hit that you're supposed to... that's the intended way to beat the... like, the first time to attack Eggman. Now, let's, continue. So, Eggman only has 3 wings? Yeah, I'll call them wings. And it's actually pretty simple to deplete the third one. Now, the second... now there's 2 more wings left. And I thought that you could jump on one of the wings when they're landed, which would make sense, but no, they didn't decide to do that. And now Eggman has 1 more wing. Eggman's going all out that he can with this machine. And now he's getting ready to attack with this machine. And it gets destroyed. Now Eggman goes to his second machine and Sonic gets ready to run. Wait, what? That's it? Wait, that's it? No second phase? Really? Really? No second phase of this boss fight? What? I'm sorry, guys, but there is no second phase of this boss fight. That's pretty strange. They indicated that they have full control of the boss fights. Now, as I said, like, okay, this is a joke, but it's clear that this final boss fight was rushed. And why would Sonic go right, then stop, come back, and grab Amy? I think the designers planned to have Sonic grab Amy and hold her in his hands and run like a final chase sequence, like a final level, like running away from the little planet while it's, shaking and has an earthquake. But sadly, the designers didn't have much time to, make it. There's probably unfinished level design about the last chase sequence in the early prototypes that still haven't been discovered yet. Just like the Sonic 1 prototype that has recently been discovered, like the only prototype. We're still wondering how the Sonic 1 PC version would have looked like. Yeah, so that's it, guys. There's nothing else for me to say, other than the boss fights are amazing. Some boss fights take key to practice, and some other boss fights, yeah, they're just skill, which is cool in my opinion. I really like these boss fights, and it's a shame that they've rushed the final boss fight. I mean, if they made it so that it's impossible to damage Bruce through the final boss fight, maybe it would have been good. Like a secret second phase, that would have been great. But I think that the video is getting too long, to the 16-minute mark, which I originally didn't intend that it would hit. But I thought this video would have been 12 minutes maximum. Well, this is it, guys. I have nothing else to say. Just like the end credits don't have any other animations to present. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you in my next video on how I debunk Among Us.